Welcome to the Insider Track by NTT DATA, where we sit down with industry experts and unpack what's reshaping business.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this new series of this podcast regarding energy and industry. We are going to discuss about innovation and sustainability across the different industries. Today, we will focus on the energy business. My name is Miguel Angel Vicente, Head of Energy and Energy Management and Trading from NTT DATA. And today, my friend Nuno Silva from Galp. He's the head of energy power from Europe. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invitation.
Can you explain us a little bit what is your role?
Of course. So my name is Nuno. I'm the European Power Director at Galp. This means that I take charge of the power business at the company from an energy management perspective, right? Most of people know Galp for its upstream and gas business. It's true that we are a smaller division, but we have had an incredible growth in the last couple of years. And that growth was mainly driven by the fact that nowadays we provide an end-to-end product and service solution for all market agents in Iberia. Okay? We are active in all power markets in Iberia, from short-term to medium-term to long-term. And as I said, we provide solutions for both generators and consumers.
Okay, great. So today the main topic is regarding AI. How do you envision the status of the technology, and how do you think that it will impact your daily life?
Right. So speaking of AI, I think it's worth differentiating two different layers. Okay. One thing is AI as a business opportunity. So what can our teams or Galp's teams provide to people working on AI? And another thing is how we incorporate AI in our day-to-day business. Okay. I think the numbers are public, more or less everyone knows this. The data center installed capacity in Spain as of 2024 is around 320 megawatts, okay? And in terms of grid access rights to 2030, okay, the expected value is for this capacity to reach 15 gigawatts, okay? So in Spain, at least, it is expected that we will see a big AI boom based on the increasing capacity of data centers. Okay?
It is a very well-known business, providing that NTT DATA is the third biggest data center provider worldwide.
Okay, very well. And so, as everyone knows, data centers are a power-hungry asset class, right? So the majority of the time, the idea is that for the data center to be consuming power in a base load profile. In Spain, the issue is there is limited access, grid access capacity, so there is a big constraint in actually building and deploying all these data center capacity. That's challenge number one. Challenge number two, data centers, they want green electricity, so they want their consumption to come from renewable energy, right? Where can Galp come in? In the last couple of years, we have developed a very strong intermediation business, okay? For you to have an idea, in 2026, we should trade in short-term markets around 20 terawatt hours of power, okay? Between internal and external needs, okay? And you apply this logic, this intermediation activity to the data centers. How? By putting together renewable generators and demand centers connected in the same injection node. We can provide a PPA to the generation assets, a demand-side PPA linked with the power supply agreement to the demand center, and really enable that AI boom. So making sure that the data center has a turnkey solution for everything energy management related.
And avoid the curtailment.
Of course, avoiding the curtailment and enabling that business model and enabling the savings with grid fees. Okay?
All right.
So this is, let's say, our first layer, how AI impacts our business in the sense that how can we profit from that AI boom, okay? The second point is how we incorporate AI in our operations. Okay. Here we also have two things. Okay. We are already using AI in forecasting models. Okay. So as I mentioned to you before, in 2026 we will have more or less 20 terawatt hours of power under management in short-term markets. For our listeners that maybe are not so accustomed with power markets in Iberia, in the majority of the markets in the world, people have to say how much power they will buy or sell ahead of real time, right?
Need to nominate.
Exactly. They have to nominate their demand needs or their generation forecasts, okay? If they don't comply or deviations between what they said they were going to buy or sell versus the actual demand or generation patterns, those differences lead to imbalance costs, and imbalance costs, as the name says, as a penalty, right?
Exactly.
So, because we have so much power under management, paying imbalance penalties, it's really costly for us. So in the last couple of years, one of my teams, one of the 6 teams I manage, called Intraday Forecasting, has developed internal forecasting tools to make sure that we reduce that imbalance volume. And these tools, we use AI not only in the actual forecasts that we do, but also we run 4 different forecasting models at the same time. And we use AI for every day to choose which is the model that gives us the best performance. Okay?
So you run a benchmarking between all the models to check which is the most accurate, depending on the fundamentals of the market.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is AI that we are already using, and these forecasting models are being used every day by the intraday forecasting team. Okay. One thing that I'm a bit more cautious about is using AI in intraday trading. Okay, so basically, in deciding, so the intraday forecasting team, they forecast the amount of volume we need to buy and sell in the different power markets, and then the intraday trading team takes that position and they do an arbitrage between should I buy or sell one day ahead, intraday or ancillary services. Okay. Here, I heard in another podcast a very good analogy, which is AI. If you think of intraday trading, the challenge is not AI as in ChatGPT, as in I have a model that has been trained on a very strong database, and the model gives me answers based on a base training.
Yep.
It's more as if it was autonomous driving.
Exactly.
And I really like this analogy because effectively, my intraday trading team, every day, it's true they have to analyze and manage a very different wide range of variables, but they have to decide based on new inputs. So by definition, intraday trading and trading in general is adapting to an unexpected event. Of course, we are already using bots to program and to implement predefined trading strategies, but always with a trader behind, making sure that an outlier in the market doesn't trigger to an event that maybe I have to close my position at a very big loss. No, at least for the time being, I have a team of 5 intraday traders that they use AI to analyze external variables, but by the end of the day, the decision to trade power in one market and not the other, and the decision to steer that bot is theirs. Okay? So in summary, in this intraday trading activity or trading in general, we will incorporate AI. Not yet, but we will incorporate it
as a market analyst.
Exactly, as a market analysis, not a replacement for the trader. Okay,
it's another input. You bring an additional input to your decision-making process, but it's still the human being who is taking the decision and to steering the car.
Absolutely. We do recognize that some of our competitors, mainly in the UK, they are now moving to Iberia. They have a very strong selling proposition. They say, look, this is trading as a service business. Because it's all software related, we process thousands of data points and we come up with an optimized trading solution.
That's not the case.
I don't want to say that it's not, of course, it's their selling proposition. Our experience, and by the way, Galp operates today the largest storage asset in Portugal, 5 megawatts, 20 megawatt hours. What we feel from a lot of discussions we have with our renewable team, it's because we are talking about a new asset class that's a physical asset with its particularities, that it's very, very good not to operate a black box. Okay, so trust is very, very important. Okay, and what we believe is that this approach that for now we incorporate AI up to a point that we keep the hands-on firm in the steering wheel, it gives us the best of two worlds, of both worlds. On one hand, we bring AI to analyze all the data, but on the other hand, if the renewable team says, look, why the battery has done this, we can tell for sure why that trade is being made, okay? I'm not saying one answer is better than the other. What I can say is from the asset owners to which we talk to, maybe instead of having a trading performance that is not 100%, maybe it's 98, 95% or 90%. It's true that you are 10 percentage points away from the top, and that is still to be proven because nowadays there is not a ranking in Iberia that assesses trading performance. Say, we can go to that in a bit, but for battery storage there isn't that ranking. But even if there was that ranking, we prefer to maybe to have an optimization tool built in-house that the mine trading team controls and give away a bit of trading performance, not to go into a black box scenario. Okay, and for us that is very, very important.
Okay, so I can see that you are very involved on these AI projects and you have a very clear understanding on where it can be used, where it cannot, and the maturity of the solution. And what about the back office? Do you find any automation capabilities there?
Very good question. So as I mentioned to you before, the short-term power trading at Galp, so broad numbers, 20 terawatt hours in 2026. In 2022, 5 terawatt hours. Okay? So it was a 4x growth, right, in this very short amount of time. Okay? The amount of FTEs in back office hasn't increased. Okay? So you can imagine, every day, yesterday, I was about to board the plane to Madrid, as I know you were to Düsseldorf. You were as well, the same flight as I was. 1 hour before, I had a call with my head of operations that was saying, Nuno, we can no longer manage this amount of volume with just 4 FTEs. Okay, so something has to change. We are building. We have acquired a digital solution that enables the processing of invoices in a more efficient way. Okay, and we are in the process of implementing that. It should go live in the next couple of months. As I was coming to you, I think this is a first step towards a fully digitalized operations. Okay, for people to understand, when we talk about power markets in Iberia, we are talking about not 1, but 8 power markets. Okay, that occur at the same time, with 15-minute settlement periods. With, to be honest, I lost track of the amount of assets we have in our portfolio. More than 40. Okay, more than 40 for sure. You know, so multiply this by all the data points that you have on a daily basis, with another difficulty that, I don't know if people know, but every invoice we get from the TSO, we get the same invoice 5 times. Because the
Different versions.
TSO, every now and again, they reissue past invoices and they correct past figures. So all the data points I've just talked to you about times 5. It's humanly impossible to manage and to process this information. Okay? So nowadays we are building this digital tool, and then I think that the next step will be to build an AI agent on top of this to get information in terms of value-added services and value-added information that we can share with our clients. Okay, so that is our hope, and we strongly believe that it could be a major differentiator going forward.
Okay. So there are a lot of challenges, but also the path started some years ago. You are already ongoing on that direction. I think this is the right direction, because we need to mature also and upskill our teams to be able to cope with this kind of technologies. And I want to change a little bit. Now I would like to get your flavor around the US market. When Meta, the owner of Facebook and some other big products, had decided to buy an energy company to secure the energy for the data centers and AI. And this is pretty new from last week. Apple has just set up Apple Energy because they already own renewable power plants, and they want to trade the imbalances, at least in the US in a first instance. Do you think that this is going to be a shift in the market, and this is going to be define the direction for other big tech companies in the near future, like Microsoft or AWS? Or how do you think that this is going to happen in the next years?
I think so. I mean, it's risky to commit to an opinion at this stage.
Crystal ball doesn't exist.
Exactly. But what I can tell you is, if I own a business, data centers, that's, I don't know the percentage, but a very, very big percentage of my costs were related to a sector, of course, I would want to learn more and to be invested in that sector, you know? With the added benefits, as we've talked about just now, the power business is becoming more and more reliant on data, okay? So, as I mentioned to you before, I'm proud of what we've built at Galp, but my intraday traders, they have a very good blend of market skills and IT skills, okay? And I believe this is the future. So the future is now, okay?
Hybrid operations.
Hybrid operations for sure. And even if you go to medium-term trading, okay, more financial, it's very, very important. Today, the great majority of the trades that are made in EX are made by bots, okay? So this trend that is in financial medium-term markets, it will come to shorter markets as well. And it's very, very important to know not only about IT, but to know about power markets, okay? So that trend is here, okay? Now, Google, Meta, Microsoft moving into this space, it makes total sense, okay? In terms of competition, I think we'll wait and see. I think the issue is that nowadays, the power markets, although there is some uniformization across Europe, each market is very particular. So, Portugal and Spain, we share the same market operator, but market rules for ancillary services are slightly different. And when you go to ancillary service, the buyer in Spain is different from the buyer in Portugal. So, there are some barriers to entry, new markets, okay? It will all come down to those companies making an assessment. Do I need, or how profitable is it?
Which markets do it are worthy, or what?
Absolutely. What I can tell you to those companies, what I can tell to those companies is these activities that we've put together, they are a perfect match. And today we have in our portfolio mid-sized clients that took the strategic decision of not moving into intraday trading, okay? And we work perfectly with them. But by the end of the day, it's a matter of strategic trades, okay? What I can tell you is Galp has made that decision a couple of years ago to move into this space because we have a very big solar portfolio, and we saw that going forward, it will be the revenues from selling the generation alone will be very, very compressed. So we have to extract the most out of the volume we generate.
Milking the cow.
So we have to milk the cow, exactly. So we put together a control center 1.5 years ago. Our intraday trading, intraday forecasting teams have been working together for 2 years now. And we closed 2025. Galp's solar portfolio, we added 25% of revenues, of additional revenues from participating in these short-term markets. So it came out of necessity. Okay? I'm sure Google, Meta, Microsoft, they will do the same assessment. Okay? What I can tell you is I cannot stop them from going to this market. If they make the strategic choice of not going there now and to partner with someone, Galp is the right partner.
Great, Nuno. Thank you for this nice conversation, and hopefully we will see in another chapter in the future.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
That's it for this episode of the Insider Track by NTT DATA. Join us next time as we continue exploring transformation and what lies ahead.